Lucky Boys Podcast.
You see that injustice, that people don't really see you as a person,
Yeah.
right? Nobody sees you as a person.
And if they do, they don't look at you as an equal. They don't look at you like an equal person. They look at you like your worth as a human being is valued so much less.
Yeah, well, that's why, going back to when we open up this talk about what the business here actually are looking for. They don't want a handout. Just like I don't need people's sympathy. None of us, the kids, needed that. We don't need people to harass us.
We don't need your pity.
You need your pity. We just want to be equal like everybody else.
That's it.
Right? And I think that is really what people sometimes don't get. They think immigrants automatically, all the negative stereotypes come with it. But immigrants are the strongest people by definition.
The hardest working people.
The hardest working. By definition, these guys said, I'm going to try something else. I don't speak the language, no problem. I have no money, no problem. I'm going to bring my family to this foreign land.
My dad worked.
Right.
My dad and my mom worked in Chinatown. My mom was a seamstress. My dad worked in a fortune cookie factory. Sometimes I wouldn't even see them until like 9 p.m. And we already had dinner with my grandparents. My grandparents basically raised us, me and my sister. And my parents worked in Chinatown. Hardworking, 7 a.m. in the morning, 9 p.m. at night, every single day. No weekends, every single day, even including
rain,
weekends.
sleet, snow, shine, sick, cold,
And they don't complain. They're just like, hey, I just want a better future for the next generation, right? And that's it. So just that hope. Some of the cases that I work on with the local street vendors, when they got arrested, they were not worrying about, gee, I have to pay the fine. They're like, I'm not going to be able to get home to have dinner with my grandmother. They're waiting for me. I'm like, really? That's what you were worrying about? He goes, yeah, because, we work all this hard for what? It's about family. I want to be able to get there. It's about family.
It's about family.
Right? So this other lady who was arrested 11 times in 3 months and was arrested 3 times a year for 10 years.
Was this the laundromat?
This is one of the street vendors on Canal Street.
Okay.
And her husband was after she married her husband, he became wheelchair bound. She would collect money for him. He's a legitimate licensed street vendor. But because she is the wife and not the holder, when she collect money, the cops would arrest her.
What?
Oh my God.
Because that was the law then.
Right.
That was the law then. So when the street vendor said, you really got to help this lady out, because she's been arrested 3-4 times a year for 10 years.
Wow.
But this one time, she was arrested 11 times, right? This is 3-4 years ago, I think. So I said to her, the first thing I said, are you bullshitting me? The question I said, why now? If you're telling me you've been arrested 3-4 times a year for the last 10 years, and now you're arrested 11 times, why do you want to fight now? You didn't fight all this time. She said to me, because I'm tired of when I go home, and if I go home late, my kids would say to me, Mom, did you get arrested again?
Fuck, man.
Right? So she said just on that alone. So she wasn't fighting because money, all this stuff. But shit. She just say, I don't want my kid to say, Mom, did you get arrested? She said, no, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm fighting this one out.
Yeah.
And at the same time, talk about inequality. Something happened in this Jerry, the newspaper guy, bought a newsstand in the East Village. And you cannot transfer the license for that. So Jerry from Eastern Europe gets all the cops and everyone doing, the hearts. We support Jerry, give him the license. And eventually they did. I'm like, wait a minute. So Jerry is also illegally, not unbeknownst to him, but gets the special treatment. But this woman gets arrested
Jerry's
11 times. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, the same cops that are going over there, we love you, and it's posted, are the same one that are arresting this lady in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, hey, man.
It sounds part of it too. They need that. She's an easy quota stop.
All of those guys were, and then I'm glad that we fought it, thanks to, my Asian woman warrior lawyer, who pro bono, Julia Kwan, and then we went to court. And that year, I'm not a lawyer, I'm in IT. we probably fought 11 cases, got people all acquitted.
Christ. And you know, just for those listening and watching right now, I do want to say, like, you know, I was always heard rumors of the quota, just on a sidebar here, but we've confirmed it with a couple of officers that we know, and specifically Steve Lee, who is a current police officer for the department, also said he went into detail about that in one of our previous podcasts. So you guys can circle back and check on that. But that's why, I mean, I was always hesitant to mention that because I was just never
Sure.
100% sure. And before I get 100%, where I get someone to conclusively say that, no, this is exactly it coming from their mouth, I can't really commit or share that information. But since he put it out there in the universe and he told me straight up during our previous podcast, like, no, there is absolutely a quota system. He said it with no apologies. And then just listening to your story and connecting the two, if I'm a police officer, like, I want to make sure that I have to be a good cop, to be a good soldier, so to speak. I need to have my stops in a row, and that's the problem with that, because then it dehumanizes people. You look at everyone as just a number to help benefit yourself. So you joined for a better cause to stop criminals. But meanwhile, think about what you're doing and how you've been conditioned. Now you're just worried about hitting your numbers the easy way. You're going for the low-hanging fruit, and that is not right. That is not right. You're disrupting people that are trying to make a living for themselves. They're not doing criminal activities. And you know what? I'll be fine if Jerry got tickets too. Okay, if Jerry got a ticket too, then I'll be fine. But then to pick on immigrants or pick on minorities or pick on people that live in lower income areas because those are low hanging fruit, or people known with lack of resources to fight back, that's never okay. But for some reason in our society, it happens. And it's not just New York. This happens everywhere. And it's not just Asians. It happens to other people of color.
Right. That's
and
right.
God damn it, it gets me so mad because how do we fight these people back? Because when we try to say something, nobody fucking listens until we all get up together and what's going on right now. And it needs to take the death of one person and then another person and another person for you to find, like, how many lives does it take for you to fucking open your ears? Or is it the money?
Right. Is criminal justice a job? I mean, that's what people need to ask. Is it checking a box? Is it doing your quota? Is that what it is? I think that's why we need to have real serious discussion about criminal justice reform, because it can't be just one little thing. This is the moment people need to look like the example I just gave you. And so I said to these guys, right, the street vendors, and I'm like, why do you think they pick on you? All right, one of the other guys. And he says, because we try to be law abiding. There's two reasons why they pick on us. Number one, we are licensed. So they know that if you don't play along, you might lose your license.
You might lose your license, yeah.
Number two, many of these guys are still not yet U.S. citizens. And if you get convicted, you can be deported.
Right. Yeah.
So they were telling them, and I was in court with them. I was so pissed off. I thought I was going to get arrested that day.
Yeah.
I walk in there, and this legal aid lawyer representing this vendor said to him, "Mr. Lee, you think you're doing her a favor? You think you're doing her a favor? If she does not take the plea, she is going to be deported. Her kids are born here, her husband's U.S. citizen. She will never see her kid. You want to help them? Is that what you want?" And I just looked at him. I'm like, you know what? She'll decide. And I talked to this lady and I said, what are you going to do? All right? This is what he's laying out. Either you're going to stand up and fight, or you're going to continue to arrest you, because they know
They could harass you.
They know how they can get you, because they're going to come back again and again and says, if you don't take the plea deal, you could be deported. On that alone, they get everyone taking plea deals.
Right.
Right? So she looked at me and she goes, are you going to promise you're going to fight? I'm like, yeah. And so she turned around and says, not guilty.
Fuck yeah.
Wow.
All right? Not guilty.